welcome to our Messy Church service. I'm here in St Andrews with Tim, and it's actually Remembrance Day, so it's very poignant that we are here on Remembrance Day, as Messy Church this time is all about remembrance. We have the cross and we have our wreaths, and I'm also wearing my poppy. I've also got the one on to remind us of all the animals that were killed during the war as well. So it's fabulous to have you here, and I'll pass over to Tim for the service.
Thank you, Beverley. Remembrance Sunday, or Armistice Day, provides people and communities and the British nation as a whole with the opportunity to reflect on those who paid the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. Maybe you've seen one of the services on television, or something at a war memorial near where you live, or in church. As a young child, I found all this really difficult to understand. But as I grew up, as I became older, I came to see why it was important to remember. Originally, this time of remembering was to honour those who died in a terrible time of fighting we call the First World War. Over time, our remembering has come to include all those who lost their lives in armed conflict. Each year we remember all these victims, but this year we include all those medical staff and carers who have lost their lives to COVID-19 in their roles of caring for others. So Beverley mentioned the poppy, but why do we wear it? Poppies like this, simple ones, or the ones that we have on our wreaths, or on our poppy cross. Why do we have these and lay them at war memorials? Well, over 100 years ago, when there was fighting in France, in places like Flanders and Picardy, during the First World War, it all left the land really messed up. It was muddy, it was torn apart. But the only plant that grew in all that mud and destruction was one little flower called the corn poppy. A young doctor who was serving there, John McCrae, was moved by the sight, so moved that he wrote a poem in 1915, which has now become really famous. And this is his poem. In Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row that mark our place. And in the sky the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw, the torch be yours to hold it high, if you break faith with us who die. We shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields. When the First World War ended, some people wanted to find a way to remember those who had died. It was an American lady called Moyna Michael who was inspired by John McCrae's poem, and she began selling poppies, much like these, to raise money for those who were injured. And so the poppy tradition began. But for Christians, there is another symbol that sits alongside the poppy, one that reminds us of something terrible that happened, something else terrible that happened, the cross. And I want to tell you the story of the cross and how that symbol came to be important to us today as well. And I'm going to tell the story of that dreadful day using our Lion Storyteller Bible. When Jesus and his friends had finished their goodbye meal, they walked to a garden to pray. That's where Jesus' enemies saw him. The men had torches and clubs and sticks. They were very frightened. And right in front was Judas, who had been one of Jesus' friends. Judas crept up to Jesus and kissed him on the cheek. "This is the man you want," said Judas. "Arrest him." Jesus looked very sad. Jesus' friends were scared. Most of them ran away, but not Peter. Peter pulled out a sword and started swinging it about. "Put away your sword," said Jesus. "This is not the time for fighting. I have to go with them. God wants me to." So they grabbed Jesus and dragged him before the religious leaders, the ones who were jealous of him. His trial took all night. "He says he will destroy our temple," said one man. "He says he is king," said another. "He's a troublemaker," said one other. None of it was true, of course. But it didn't matter, because the leaders had already made up their mind. Jesus was different from them. Jesus wouldn't do what they said, so Jesus would have to die. They beat him and hit him hard. They took away his clothes and put an old robe around his shoulders and jammed a crown of thorns on his head. And while blood ran down his forehead, they called him names and made fun of him. "So you think you're a king?" they laughed. "Well, look at you now." Jesus never said a word. His body hurt. His heart was breaking. But he never said a word. They took a cross made of heavy wood, and they laid it on his back. "Move along," they shouted, and they led him through the city. Some people cried when they saw him. Others cheered, but all of them followed. As he lugged that cross through the city gates and up a nearby hill. When they got to the top, they laid Jesus on the cross and nailed him to it. It hurt so much. Then they raised the cross so that everyone could see, and they left him there to die. A thief hanging next to him was afraid, but Jesus talked to him and helped him to feel better. Jesus' mother was there too, standing in the crowd. So Jesus called out to one of his friends, "Take care of her for me, will you, John? She's your mother now." But most of the faces in the crowd were not so kind. "You saved other people," someone laughed, "so why can't you save yourself?" Jesus knew why. It wasn't because his enemies had won, it was because God wanted him there, to take away all the bad things anyone had ever done. So the sky grew dark, and the earth shook. It was as if God's own heart was breaking. And then it happened. "It's done," Jesus whispered. And in the sadness and the dark, he died. Although both the poppy and the cross are reminders of terrible things that happened, both are also symbols of hope. The red poppy on the battlefields was a stubborn reminder of life in the face of death. The cross reminds us of the hope of new life which we celebrate at Easter. And that even in our darkest days, God loves us and knows how it feels because Jesus, his Son, has been there. Before you join in with making your crafts this afternoon, I want you to join in a prayer with me as we remember all those who have lost their lives for our freedom. Let us pray. God, our Creator, we remember all those who have given their lives for their country, for their sisters' and brothers' freedom. We pray for all who have lost their lives in conflict, not only in the 2 world wars, but in acts of fighting up to this present day. We remember those who serve in all essential occupations, at home and abroad, especially during these dangerous times of a worldwide pandemic. This year we also remember all medical and nursing staff and carers who have lost their lives to COVID-19 whilst trying to save others. We thank you for their example of selflessness in laying down their lives for us. Bless them and grant them eternal peace. May the generosity of all who have laid down their lives inspire us to work tirelessly for harmony and goodwill amongst all peoples. And may we never forget the sacrifice they have offered for our peace. Amen.
You'll all have a copy of the Messy Church prayer in your bags that were delivered this week. So if you'd please like to join in with me as we say the prayer. Welcoming God, grow your family here. Creator God, set our imaginations on fire. God of old and new, help us to be church for all ages. Joyful God, help us to celebrate you in all that we do. Loving God, help us to walk more closely with Jesus Christ. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. So at this point, we would normally be going into the hall to make up our crafts, but we're doing that all online this time in these very strange times that we're having. And I'll hand over to Tim just to finish off our service.
Like that poem by John McCrae, there are other famous words that are often said at remembrance services. These words are called the Kahima epitaph. They're short, but they say a lot. When you go home, tell them of us and say, for your tomorrow we gave our today. May the God of peace be with you and those you love, today and forever. Amen.
Welcome to our Messy Church craft session. You should all have received a pack in the post or by personal mail from me with everything that you need to take part in all the activities that we've got today. The first one that we're doing is a badge. Now, a lot of people will have been wearing poppies for the last week or so for Remembrance Sunday. The poppy reminds us of all the men and women who fell during all the wars that there have been and lost their lives for us and to keep us safe. You can also get purple poppies. And the purple ones remind us of all the animals that lost their lives during the war as well. The badge we're going to make is something that reminds us of Jesus, who also lost his life for us. And that's what we're going to make. Christians remember Jesus through the stories that he tells and through coming to church. In churches, there's lots of objects like crosses that remind us of him, and Christians also celebrate Jesus' death with a special meal. We remember what happened in the past because Jesus came back to life for us, and we can look forward to all the things that he has for us in the future. Let's get on with making our badge. So, you should have 3 bits. You should have your badge, you should have a piece of paper, and you should have some silver foil. You will need a pair of scissors for this as well. Now, some of you will be old enough to use the scissors themselves and others will need help. So I'm sure help will be there. And a glue stick. Now, the only thing that wasn't in your pack is the scissors, but a glue stick should have been in everybody's pack. So what you need to do is you need to cut your silver bit of foil so that it's going to fit right in the middle of your star. I'll just cut this out.
Not with those scissors I work, because they're not working properly. Let's try another pair. Ah, these are fine. I did see pictures of some of you on Facebook last Sunday standing at your doorsteps at 11 o'clock for the minute's silence. And it was lovely to see you all there. There was an excellent live I can't say that word. An excellent live service that Tim did last week as well from the sanctuary, with our poppy cross in it and also wreaths. So let's see, does that fit? Oh, that fits perfectly. I think you can see that fits well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glue that onto my star. All the stars are different colours and all the bits of foil are different colours. So each badge will be very individual to you. Right, so, and that little noise that you heard is just the lid of my glue stick falling on the floor. So, we now have our badge partially made. So now what I've got to do is, I've got to cut a cross out. You can either make a little template and put that on, or you can do it freehand. I'm going to do it freehand, so I'm not sure exactly what shape it'll turn out, but we'll give it a go. So you need to make a snip, one snip up, two snips up, then we go across, and we now look to have a very big T. But then what we do is we snip again along the side, again along the side, and then we cut down and we have our cross. But it's a bit big. It won't fit on my piece of card, but that's not a problem because we can just snip off a little bit all the way round, and then it will fit right in the middle. So I'll just glue that one on. It's easier then just to put the glue onto the cross rather than spread it all over the silver paper or the glittery paper that you've got. There we go. So there's our first activity, our cross, and if I peel the back off that, I can put my badge on. Right, so if I'm going a little bit too fast, don't worry, because I'm sure you'll get the gist of what I'm doing, and then you can just come back to them and finish them when you want to. So I'll get rid of my little bits of rubbish, put them there, and we'll go on to our next activity. Right, our next activity, we'll do the bubbles. So, you should all have some bubbles. So if you want to open your bubbles, unseal them. I think I need my scissors again for this. There we go. Then the best bit, you get to blow. Just a few, we don't want masses. Why have we got bubbles, you're probably asking? Very good question. We've got bubbles because they're great fun to play with. But not only are they great fun to play with, when you blow bubbles, they soon disappear. They don't last very long, do they? Within seconds, they've gone. Apart from these two here. And they're actually sitting on our messy church prayer. Don't know if you can see those in the camera. Hopefully you can do. You may not have lost anybody during the war. You may have great-great-grandparents that fought in the war. And some of you may have lost, some may have come home safely. A lot of people did lose them though. It's a very sad time for a lot of people's remembrance. But losing anybody at any time is very sad. But the bubbles remind us that although they're not with us anymore, we can still remember them. We can still look back at the happy times that we had with them. And so if ever you're feeling a little bit sad because you've lost somebody, Or it could be an animal, it could be a pet that you've lost. You can blow some bubbles and just remember that although they're gone, they're still going to be around and with you. So I'll leave that one with you to play with when you want to and just think about. Right, our next activity, oh, the bubbles have gone, is our coaster, our poppy coaster. So again, you've got all the bits you need for this. You should have, oh, I've got far too many petals here. You should have 4 petals, 1, 2, 3, 4. But at the moment, those petals are the wrong shape. So the best way to do is just fold them in half and then cut a round shape to make a petal. So I'll just get all these ready. Hopefully you can be doing yours as well. There we go. There we are. That's 2 done. Number 3. Hopefully you're doing this along at home with me at the same time. And finally our last petal. There we go. See, all done. And then also you'll have a little bit of black paper that's got little silver bits on it. This, if you have a look, is the very centre of your poppy. So you need to cut that into a round shape, but that we put on last. But again, it's just as easy, fold it in half and just very simply cut your round shape like that. Okay, fine. So next we need to stick these on. So if you put lots of glue on your mat, I think my glue stick's gone a bit iffy. The good thing about it is this glue dries clear, so if you do get it all over the mat, don't worry, because you can see on that one, when it actually dries, you can't see the glue. Right, so when you've got that on, you put your poppy petals on. 1, 2, 3, and 4. There we go, just like that. And then next you need to put some glue on the back, the centre of your poppy. Make sure that's all stuck. And then we put that right in the middle. There we go. So there we have our poppy coasters. 1, 2, 3, and we're on to our final activity. And for our final one, you should have a plate. This is what we're going to make. And this is one that while we're actually doing it, I'm going to read you the story. I'm going to tell you about the lost soldier. But I'll just set you up with this. So what you need is you'll have your wool and you'll have a plate. And what you need to do is go along and make little cuts in your plate. There we go, just like that. Doesn't matter how big a space is between them, it will work however big the space is. So just how you feel. All the way around. There we go. We're nearly there. Yep, not far to go now. You've got a guideline of where to actually cut to by where the little perforation-y bits finish. So that helps you as a guideline. There we are. Right. So I'm just going to start off on this one, and then I'm going to read you the story while you can do it. So you need to undo your wool, find an end, and then add with sellotape that I haven't got here at the moment, or with your glue. You just need to stick the end of the wool down. There we go. I've stuck my wool down. Now all you're doing is taking it through one and then back there, back up the back, and then back down and crossing them. So round, cross and back down, and that's what you need to do all the way round until you've completed one colour. And then when you've completed one colour, you just add the other colour in so that you've got a wheel with two different colours going through it. So while you just continue with that, I'm just going to tell you the story of the lost soldier. Down in Westminster Abbey, there is a tomb for the unknown soldier. The tomb is there because an awful lot of people, unfortunately, their relatives weren't brought back to this country, so they couldn't have a funeral for them. And so Reverend David Railton came up with this idea. It's not exactly known whether it was 4 or 6 bodies were taken from the war grave, from the war stones, and taken to one point. Flags were put over them, and then randomly one of those bodies was chosen. That body was then brought back to Britain in a parade from the Western Front to Westminster Abbey. And there the body of that unknown soldier was buried in Westminster Abbey. If any of you were watching any of the ceremonies over last weekend for Remembrance Sunday, you may have seen a picture of the Queen there putting a wreath down. It's become a place where, when families lost someone in the war, they could go to with the hope that maybe that was the relative that they lost, and that they could leave some remembrance flowers there for them. And it has just become a very, very special place to a lot of people, and it means an awful lot to many. It means an awful, I think even if you haven't lost anybody in the war, it makes a very poignant, gives us a very poignant message that everybody that was lost always needs to be remembered and needs to be thanked for giving us the free country that we now live in. So, how are you getting on with your weaving? As I say, I'm not going to finish this one. Let's do a little bit more of this one colour, backwards and forwards. Very, very simple once it's been cut. Again, if you need help with cutting, I'm sure there's somebody there that will help you. So, and it doesn't matter if it's not exactly in the middle either, because again, each one of these is going to be totally individual to you, which makes them very special. And then you can either keep them yourself, or you could give them to somebody. Careful your wool doesn't get in a knot. Oh, I've missed the space out, but it doesn't matter, we can go back to it that way. There we go. So then when you've done one colour, you can, let me see, you can cut it off and just gently tie it round one of the other ones at the back. And then at this point, you would add in your next colour so that you come up with something like that I prepared earlier. So I hope you have enjoyed our Messy Church crafts and the Messy Church service that came before it. Very excited because our next one will be Christmas. So please make sure that you email me, children@standrews.cc, to get your name down to get a Messy Church Christmas pack. And just before we go, we will just repeat our Messy Church prayer that we said during the service. So if we can you've all got a copy of this in your pack as well, so if you can just put your hands together and we'll say together, welcoming God, grow your family here, Creator God, set our imaginations on fire, God of old and new, help us to be church for all ages, joyful God, help us to celebrate in all that we do, and loving God, help us to walk more closely with Jesus Christ. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been absolutely fabulous to be able to do all these crafts and knowing that you're all joining in at home with me. We hope we will be able to get back to Messy Church at some point, but until then we will certainly continue to do Messy Church in a bag and hope that you will all join us. Thank you very much. Have a good day.